That night, two men in the corner of the bar caught my attention. One kept moving from table to table, while the other quietly sipped his drink. The first man approached tables with women at them, mostly, and engaged in short conversations that sometimes ended abruptly. Occasionally he would take out an envelope and show what was inside, which I couldn't see. I assumed they were selling something and was surprised that management didn't intervene that night. I shared my observations with my companions, my wife Christie, our friends Chris and his wife Liz, and Heinz and his wife Kim. After a brief period of speculating about their activities, about half an hour later the first man approached our table. He had finished chatting with the women. He must have decided to try his luck with us. He greeted us and asked how we were doing. His tone was friendly, and our responses were mixed. But he smiled at each of us and explained that his friend was in town on business and was looking for some company. He wondered if any of the ladies were interested. I was taken aback by his bold move as he walked up to a table where each woman was clearly accompanied by a partner, and just as I was about to speak up, Liz interrupted his questioning and responded that his friend was gifted and knew how to use his gifts, suggesting that one of us give it a try. The women almost couldn't hold back their laughter, but he seemed unfazed and began to tell my story. If you don't want your life to end up in a mess like mine, subscribe to my channel and learn real-life lessons from the true stories we share every day, just like I did. Please also share your thoughts on the shocking truth of my experience in the comments, and show your support by giving it a like. Now that you're subscribed, let's dive deeper into my story. Kim then asked how he could prove his claim. The man took out the familiar envelope he had been carrying all evening, which contained a few photos that confirmed that the men among us at this time were expecting the women to leave. But their exaggerated reaction to the photos surprised us. The big proposal is here, ladies. What do you say? Any takers? Liz and Kim shook their heads and giggled as they returned the photos to the man. He seemed about to leave and try his luck elsewhere. As he paused and focused his attention on Christie, he probably saw something familiar in her eyes, prompting him to ask her again. And you, little lady? I didn't expect Christie to confront the guy, but I was shocked that she accepted his offer without a second thought. I tried to pull Christie away, but a large hand stopped me. The bodyguard intervened and explained that Christie had claimed that she wanted to leave with them, despite my protests. The bouncer stood his ground and claimed the right to handle the situation. Christie whispered something to him, causing him to give her a strange look, and then ask if she was sure about her decision. She confidently affirmed her choice and then walked towards the man waiting by the door, standing there desperately. I shouted at her to stop, but she didn't hesitate, and I could only watch as she joined the two men and left the bar, thinking that once they were gone the bouncer would let me go. To my shock, despite my desperate struggles, the bouncer kept a firm grip on me and explained that Christie had asked him to hold me for a few more minutes to prevent me from following them. Realizing that she had willingly gone with the two men and allowed the bouncer to hold me, all my fight disappeared. My friend stood nearby, and after a few minutes, the bouncer finally let go of me, and I collapsed to the ground. I felt so frustrated that tears came to my eyes. I wondered how she could do this to me. Was I not enough for her? I was beside myself with emotion when I got into the car. When I saw that the phone was ringing from Christie, I was ready to help her, but she had another request. Determined to spend the night with those men, she insisted that it was only an occasional thing. I asked her in shock why she made me feel so insignificant, but her reply only made me feel more hurt. Why, Christie, why did you do this? I pleaded, my voice choking as I needed something different, something you couldn't give me. She responded coldly, her words hurting me more than any physical injury ever could. When I got home, I started packing. Christie came back in and was shocked to see me packing. We argued, and I finally decided to file for divorce while I was at it. I told her there was no point in continuing the marriage. Krista tried to stop me, but my decision was final. Please don't do this, she begged, tears streaming down her face. I've made mistakes, but we can work it out together. I looked at her, my heart filled with pain. Krista, you've broken my trust, and I can't repair it, I said, my voice shaking. As I left, her sobs echoed through the empty house. The weight of her betrayal left me breathless, and I delayed my divorce until Krista received the papers. Her expression told the whole story, and despite her attempts to win me back, I could not forgive her. She left the house with tears in her eyes, and I prepared to start a new life with the support of my friends. I gradually reintegrated into social life. Krista went on with her life and met new people. Meanwhile, I focused on forgetting the past and starting again. But then one day, an unexpected event changed everything. A year after the divorce, I heard that Christie was getting on well with a new partner. One evening, I ran into an old friend, and over the course of a conversation, I found out who Christie's new partner was. Shockingly, it was the man she had left the bar with. The news hurt me deeply, but it also made me realize that I needed to take action. It wasn't long before I discovered that Christie's new partner was a notorious con man. Christie was also involved in his schemes. I gathered more information and passed it on to the police. Christie and her lover were arrested for a major fraud. Christie's confession revealed just how far she had fallen. "Do you understand the charges against you?" the judge asked. Christie nodded with tears in her eyes. "Yes, Your Honor," she whispered, her once confident and carefree voice gone. She was now consumed by remorse and shame. I faced Christie for the last time the day she went to prison. Handcuffed, she looked defeated and broken. "How did it come to this, Christie?" I asked. My voice was full of sadness and pleading. "I thought I needed more, but I've lost everything," she admitted, tears running down her face. "I'm sorry for everything you've done. You're paying the price for your actions," I said. "There are consequences to ruining my life. I feel free and at peace, while Christie is locked up in prison, facing the consequences of her actions alone. The day Christie went to prison was the last time I saw her. How did it come to this, I asked myself, my voice tinged with sadness and justification. She looked at me with tears in her eyes, heartbroken and dejected. I thought I needed more, but I lost everything. She admitted, "I'm sorry for what I did to you. You're paying the price for your actions. Now I say, hold back your tears. Ruining my life also had consequences. I feel free and at peace, while Christie is left behind in prison facing the consequences of her actions." In the end, Christie's selfish and immoral behavior set her on an irreversible path. Her fate shows that she paid a heavy price for her betrayal and selfishness. As for me, I was finally able to move on and leave the past behind.